Please welcome Sophie Thompson.
Hi everyone, how is everyone doing? You having a good day so far? Yeah? Cool, well I'm super excited to have you all here in person, and also to those of us joining virtually, welcome. I have the wonderful delight to take you through what I think is the best one today, which is from shelf to cart, driving traffic to your products. So just as an intro, my name is Sophie. I am a training manager at Amazon Ads. I've been with Amazon for about 2 years, helping brands develop their business, just like everyone here today. So just to get started, we're going to review the agenda, just so you have an idea of what we're going to go through. So we're first going to review the solutions that you can incorporate into your strategies to help increase your traffic. And I also have the delight of welcoming Daniel Kniznik from Quartile, who works with over 5,000 brands. They're an award-winning Amazon Ads partner, and they help deliver results for sellers on Amazon, like everyone here. So we'll take a look at where they see the strategy of driving traffic fitting into the overall journey to a sale. We'll also look at how they've put the tools and optimizations into practice for the brands that they work with. And we'll also have some tips that you'll be able to take away and apply to your ads strategy even tomorrow. So at the end of this session, we'll host a live Q&A. So this is the opportunity for you guys to ask any questions you may have. If you haven't yet downloaded the Accelerate app, you can find instructions on the back of your badge. And feel free to submit questions or vote for questions that others have submitted. You can use your in-app QR scanner code to do that. And then just select Q&A from the panel on the right. Okay, so just getting started, I want to start with a question here. Let's put on our customer hats. Unfortunately, these are imaginary. You don't have real customer hats. But have you ever had a hard time picking different options? So show of hands, who here is indecisive like me? Yeah. Okay. So just for a bit of more context, I'm going to put into a story how indecisive I can be. So one time I was going for lunch. The whole day I'd had sushi in my head. I was like, yes, I'm going to have sushi. That's what I want. I got to the food hall, and right on the other side was the hot food section. And oh my goodness, they had such an array of food. And I literally was stood there with sushi in one hand, hot food in the other, and I was literally stood there for about 10 minutes trying to decide what to have. And then the funny thing is, in the end, I didn't actually have either. My friend called me. She was across the road. She had this salad wrap that was amazing. So I literally just dropped it and went. But the point of that is, moving on, we actually have, according to one researcher, we make 35,000 decisions every single day. And why am I telling you this? So our customers are doing this too, and just like us, they are also making a lot of choices every moment of every day. And they're all looking at ways to make it easier. So let me just share a number that's a little bit closer to the world of marketing and customer engagement. So 80% of global shoppers say that they want to move from product inspiration to purchase as quickly as possible. So, they don't want to be pining over it. They don't also want to leave a store page without having made that decision. So once they've identified this need, they're wanting to make this purchase as soon as possible. And here what we want is we want that product to be yours. So clicking on your product is a choice. And ultimately, deciding to purchase a product is also a choice. So this session is about how we can drive traffic to our products and about how we can help that choice become easier for our customers. So let's begin with the opportunities and solutions that can help us do that and help increase traffic. Okay, so now another show of hands, who here is already using sponsored products as part of your ads mix? Nice, okay. Keep your hands up. Sorry, I should have told you to keep them up. Keep your hands up if the majority of ad spend goes towards sponsored product campaigns. Okay, cool. That's about what I expected. So just with that, I do want to make sure that today you've got a full set of tools to help support your traffic goals. Okay, so let's imagine Bill. So Bill here, he's hosting his first Thanksgiving dinner. This is the first one he's ever done. He has got a lot of, kitchenware. He's got a lot of pans, but he knows specifically he needs another one for this Thanksgiving dinner. And now we have Lucinda. Now Lucinda runs Green Pot, which is a brand on Amazon that sells kitchenware, cookware. So it's still only September, right? So Bill's got a bit of time, but as in this time, he has, like many shoppers, a big opportunity and is open to many different brands as he's considering his choices. And in fact, McKinsey found that 46% of US consumers reported switching to different brands and retailers last year than any time since the beginning of the pandemic. And most intend to incorporate that behavior into their routines. So this is an opportunity and also a challenge for any brand. So maybe Bill has never heard of Green Pot, maybe he's never heard of the brand before. So in this situation, Green Pot would be looking to earn his trust and help him choose their brand. Or maybe he already shops with Green Pot and he's happy with the quality and the service. So in this scenario, Green Pot would want to be retaining his business. And Green Pot also has an array of selection that Bill can choose from. He'll have other products that can complement. So in this situation, there's an opportunity to help Bill find those complementary products, so bundling or increasing basket size. So these scenarios that we just went through hit across the customer journey, from driving brand awareness to purchase, even to loyalty. So we're going to be focusing on driving increased traffic by reaching new audiences who aren't yet familiar with you and your brand and inspiring them to consider you. And this is really a key way to drive new incremental growth. And it begins with making sure that new audiences get to know you, remember you, and engage with you. So in addition to sponsored products, 2 more ad solutions that can deliver engaging and interactive experiences to audiences are sponsored brands and sponsored display. And adding both to your advertising mix and also optimizing them for engagement can help you meet this opportunity. So sponsored brands, like sponsored products, you can set up yourself in the ads console with no minimum spend required. And like sponsored product, they use keyword and product targeting. And this is to help reach those relevant audiences. And both ads can appear in separate placements, even at the same time. So like we see here, we have sponsored brands at the top and sponsored products within them. So complementing sponsored products with sponsored brands can help your brand stand out even more. And kind of think of sponsored brands as like your headline ad, right? So you're using these rich creatives, you're using your own images, showing your product in use, maybe in videos. All of this is also in highly prominent placements, and this can also help with driving shoppers to your detail page or your store. So shoppers like Bill, whose shopping and browsing signals indicate interest in cooking, maybe they have a recent life event of moving into a new house, building up that cookware. Audiences like that could be interested in getting to know Green Pot's brand and may have immediate need for one of their products. And then we have sponsored display. So the benefit of display ads, again, they are available without minimum spend, and they're right in the ads console with sponsored display. So you're able to reach audiences wherever they spend their time on Amazon and also on third-party websites and apps. And they're also shopping for content that they love in brand-safe environments. So like sponsored product, there's a couple of ways that you can target your campaigns. So we have contextual targeting, which is similar to sponsored products. You can target specific products and categories. Or you can reach audiences based on their interests, life events, lifestyle, and also in-market signals, or based on historical views and purchases. So there's a lot of different formats that you can incorporate into custom elements, such as your brand's logo, headline, and even a video. And I know we're going to look at some great examples of this with our partner Quartile today. So, in today's world, there's no one ad experience, not one channel, that creates a truly engaging, holistic opportunity for customers to get to know your brand, remember you, and engage with it. So we shop, we check emails, we check social media. We have so much content that we can consume across the internet. And it's the combination of all of these things that get us to take action. So by combining a mix of ad formats, you've got the start of a more powerful, holistic strategy to maximize customer engagement. So like with Bill, he could see GreenPod's sponsored display when taking a look at recipes on another website. And this is being reminded with a sponsored products listing when he is browsing pots and pans category on Amazon. And then he could see GreenPod's sponsored brand video as it's demonstrating its easy use when he was browsing for saucepan specifically. And just note here, as you can see that big 3-1, brands who ran sponsored brands and sponsored display campaigns in addition to sponsored products during the holiday season saw a 31% higher ROAS, so return on ad spend, than brands who only ran sponsored products. And there really is potential for something you want to capitalize on. So with that foundation in place, I am thrilled to bring out Daniel Kizhnik, co-founder and CEO at Quartile, one of our trusted advanced Amazon Ads partners on the partner network. Now, Quartile's platform fully integrates with your Amazon Ads campaigns and uses cutting-edge AI and machine learning to optimize advertising for improved performance and growth. And also, they count for more than 5,000 brands and sellers among their clients who rely on Quartile's technology and expertise to help maximize their Amazon results. They also recently won the Amazon Ads Partner Award for scaled technology. And as its CEO, Daniel has had a front row seat to the evolution of advertising and digital media landscape and guides the platform's ongoing development. So I'm so excited he'll be sharing his expertise with us today. So please help me in welcoming Daniel to the stage. Hi, Daniel. Welcome to Accelerate.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
Yeah, good. How's it been so far?
Awesome. I've been to lots of very, very interesting sessions, discuss and talk to lots of sellers, so super happy and happy to be on stage for this one.
This is the best one.
Yes, for sure. No doubt.
Well, thank you for joining us today. And before we just get into our main topic, can I start with a rapid fire set of questions?
Sure. Let's do it.
Okay, favorite city in the US?
Definitely New York.
Yeah, nice. Text or phone call?
Text. Don't call me unless it's very urgent.
I'll make sure to call you. Best concert in recent memory?
So that has to be Taylor Swift. So I went with my 10-year-old daughter and I learned that dads are Swifties too. So Taylor Swift.
Any Swifties in the room?
Yeah.
Woo! Do you like giving presents or giving them?
Definitely giving.
Yeah. I feel like if you said the other one, it might come across a bit bad. Your favorite season of the year?
I live in New England, so fall is unbeatable in my opinion, so it has to be fall.
Place you would like to travel to the most?
Italy. Love Italy.
Yeah. Your favorite meal?
Barbecue. Barbecue for sure.
And the last thing you bought on Amazon?
So it's this book I strongly recommend called Range from David Epstein. Very, very interesting new perspective about some things.
Cool. I'll add it to my list. So how was my intro? What did I miss about what you do and what Quartile does?
Yeah, so let's start with something you didn't miss, but we're super proud of. Quartile was awarded or got the award of Scale Technology Partner of Amazon Ads in the US last year, so it was super cool. Also, like yesterday, they just announced the finalists for this year's technology innovation as well, and we are one of the 3 finalists, so super happy about that. Thank you. I think that a couple of things that I would say about Quartile. First is that we are a software platform that has a customer success layer, so we have more than 200 account managers, and some of our clients use us in a self-service way. Some of our clients are agencies. We have more than 100 agencies that use Quartile as their software platform for managing their ads on Amazon. But we also have these 200 account managers that will onboard and manage brands and be weekly discussing with clients, so we see it all.
Amazing. So you work with more than 5,000 sellers and brands. What would you say most motivates your clients, and what problems are they mainly trying to solve?
Yeah, so I think that first of all, like, clients usually come to us because they want to grow, right? They want to scale, they want to grow, and they want to do that efficiently, right? I think that's definitely something. It's growth and efficiency. And the opportunity to do that on Amazon is tremendous, right? So I think that it's second to none.
Yeah, definitely. So what does that mean in terms of increasing your traffic by reaching new customers?
I think that, like we said, on Amazon you have all these customers that are focused on discovering and they have the shopping intent, right? So when you are advertising on Amazon, it's not like if you are advertising to someone that is working out or listening to a playlist. You're advertising to people that are ready to convert, and that is very different. I think that Amazon has a unique capability to bring new-to-brand customers, and I think that whenever someone talks about brand awareness, I think that nothing is more efficient than making sales to new customers, new-to-brand customers. Obviously, they're experimenting the product, they're trying it, which obviously generates brand awareness. I think that there are so many really clever, and you were talking about them earlier, super accessible ways of connecting so close to your customers with specifically this shopping mindset. So it's unique.
Yeah. So when we're talking about building brand awareness and growing that traffic with these solutions that we've kind of been talking about, like sponsored brands, sponsored display, what would you say makes this an exciting and accessible way for small to medium-sized brands to grow?
Yeah. So I think that it's exactly this combination of a huge reach with a very specific product and keyword targeting capabilities. That's kind of the first one. And then again, with all this large, gigantic audience reach, I think that that's unique. Plus, you got all the creative options that are more visual. So whether it's like different ad types that you were talking about, or being it your storefront, so it's unique to have the ability to create your own storefront on Amazon with more like the look and feel of your brand. I think that that's interesting, even Amazon posts. And you reach the shoppers with a message and a visual that resonates. I think that that's super important. Like for the season, or for an occasion, or a specific need that they have, exactly like you were showing on the example before.
Yeah. You mentioned efficiency earlier, so I'm sure your clients are focused on sales and ROAS.
Yeah, not exclusively, but yeah, everybody wants to see performance, and that's super important.
So how do you have the conversation with your clients that when you're investing in reaching new customers, you might not see this right away?
Yeah, so I think it's about setting up campaigns with the right objectives, right? It's about like understanding how you should distribute your budget and which should be the objectives. Obviously, you have campaigns, especially sponsored product, that you have such huge efficiency, you are focusing on high conversion rates, low ACoS, good sales volume, but then you have to dedicate something for growing, for going the next mile, and that's usually something focused on new to brand. There's always a finite number of shoppers browsing for keywords like vitamin C or compression socks. And keep talking just with that same audience ends up not allowing you to scale. You're going to saturate and reach a diminishing return point. I'm an engineer, so I'm happy to show this in some data, right? So if we can pull these graphs here. I think that this is exactly what I'm talking about. It's about reaching a diminishing return point, right? So both these charts, they are here to show that point of when it starts diminishing. They're both here, what we're seeing here, like on the horizontal axis is what is the bid, or on the vertical axis we're seeing sales volume. And as you guys can see here, there's a moment that it starts to flatten out. And very clearly, like if you look at, for example, the keyword on the left, coffee pods, that's a category defining keyword. So it has a huge volume, and it usually will have a lower conversion rate. The other one, vitamin coffee, has less volume, right? It's a more niche, more long tail keyword, so it tends to have a higher conversion rate. As you can see in both, at some point, you start not increasing your sales anymore, right? So you're bidding more, you're increasing your bid, you're spending more, but you're not selling more anymore. And then, like, as you guys can see on the right, the one that has less volume, higher conversion rates, it slows down a little sooner, right? It starts slowing down. While on the left, it takes a little longer. You can see a more usual behavior, but at some point, it's kind of tapers off itself. That means that you exhausted the reach for that term. If you increase your bid, you're just going to pay more, but you're not going to be adding new sales. It doesn't make sense to keep increasing your bids.
Yeah, that's actually a really helpful way to see it.
Yeah, so I think that then the next question is like, okay, so what do I do? If just increasing my bids on these same keywords doesn't make it, what do I do? And that's when you have to start thinking about expanding your reach. You have to think about adding new shoppers that might not be looking specifically for your keyword. But then you have to think creatively. I think that think about new targets, think about video. That's when display campaigns, for example, play a very important role. You need to explore those audience-driven ads that we are mentioning here, and you have to start thinking about, like, what exactly do you do next, right? I think that that's super, not necessarily straightforward, but super important. So circling back here around the question, I think that when you're moving beyond the saturation point, it takes time, it takes numerous touch points, and it actually requires different strategies. One of the good strategies we see for small and medium brands to grow is exactly to think about that marketing funnel upside down, right? So first you want to fill we always say that, think about filling the funnel bottom up. So first you start with, usually like when you think about the funnel, you have 3 stages. We tend to think about them upside down. So first, efficiency. So make sure that you understand which keywords are really relevant for you. Make sure that you're bidding there. Make sure that you're appearing. You're thinking about efficiency. It's a low-hanging fruit. And by the way, I'm guessing that almost everybody here does it, right? Then you have to move one level up in that growth funnel. And you do that by increasing traffic and driving some consideration with shoppers that are... You're still talking about someone that is looking for a product. Maybe it's not your product, so it's a competitor product, but they're really like clicking already, and maybe they didn't buy yet, but they're already clicking maybe on your competitors, maybe on your products. And you can think about that targeting with some contextual targeting similar products. So you can, for example, create campaigns in which you're targeting people that clicked on your competitor but didn't buy yet, or even on your product and they didn't buy yet. And then you also have Amazon audiences, which would be like a third layer in which you can reach in-market audiences and you can think about any type of product. Both sponsored brands and sponsored display ads, they allow you to have custom creative here, including video and being able to show your product in a very useful way. Then as a third step of this framework, you can reach those shoppers that might have some shopping interests or lifestyles that match what your brand sells, but not necessarily are aware of you and they're not searching for a product. So think about complementary categories, lifestyle and interest-based audience segments, for example, which are available always on sponsored displays. So second, third steps here are not necessarily about ROAS, right? I think that you're looking about thinking clicks. You want to drive better click-through rate. You want to add a lot of new visitors to your Amazon store. You're looking to reach here, right? I think that maybe sales from customers that are new to your brand is going to be key on this one. And then, again, sponsored product is super important. It will drive strong sales. It will have great ROAS. But as you reach that diminishing return point, that's why you need to build and optimize those campaigns beyond just that bottom of the funnel, otherwise you don't grow. And these solutions we're talking about, like sponsored brand, sponsored display, between the reach, the creative, the product and keyword targeting, there's such strong ways to widen your reach and think about new to brand.
Yeah, definitely. That makes sense. So just like what specifically did you do for the challenge that you shared with us earlier on the coffee pods and the vitamin coffee pods?
Cool. Yeah, so we have this client, for example, called VitaCup. They indeed make this very cool product that brings vitamins into your coffee pods, right? So rather than targeting just, of course, in the beginning we target with sponsored brands, sponsored products, we target those keywords we were showing, but then we're able to use sponsored display to reach a fresh and new audience to that brand. So you can think about that too. I'm sure that everybody here can think about examples that they can introduce their product to a different audience and increase awareness. The ads, like you said, they display across Amazon and other websites, right? So it can be on and off Amazon. I think we can pull them here so everybody can see how they look. So yeah, exactly. So you can see that you have the product image, you have the logo, and you have a custom headline here. In this case, and I think this is super interesting, where we created an audience of people that were searching and already bought on Amazon previously and in a short window. They already bought coffee and they already bought vitamins. So although I can't guarantee that they will want to buy coffees that have vitamins infused on them, it's a very good first step to narrow down to people that are buying coffee and are buying vitamins on Amazon.
Yeah, definitely. So we just alluded to it a little bit, but I would like to zoom in a bit on the creative strategy here. So we know that sponsored brands and sponsored display have expanded creative options, and you can use video in both of them, custom images, custom headline. So with sponsored brands, you've got the option to link to your store. So what creative best practices would you recommend for these formats?
Yeah, so this is a topic that I think is overlooked by many advertisers, right? I think that Purpose Build Brands is a client that does a phenomenal creative work. I bought another example here. Can we look? Mm-hmm. So with Purpose Build and one of their brands, Wyman, that is a super known cleaning product brand, we tested different creative message and different audiences for the product with sponsored brand and sponsored display video ad formats. This is a sponsored brand video that we're looking here, and usually sponsored brand videos have on average 22% higher click-through rates compared to static formats. And when you think about all the possible combinations of formats, audiences, and messages that you have in your hand, a few things you can think about, especially when you're looking to drive increased traffic to your videos, right? So first, like research for what shoppers are looking for. So you start with that, right? And then you speak to specifically what they're searching for on your creatives. Then second, take advantage of increased seasonality. And third, use your creative to show a new usage for your product. About seasonality, shopping events like the holiday season, Prime Day, Mother's Day. Customers are in shopping mood, so they're looking to products for them and for others. And usually in those situations, they're more open to test new brands. On using your creative to show new usage for your products, I think that expands the addressable market. So we have another client that sells single-serve coffees. They're competing with leading and loved brands. So we suggested that they could position their coffee as a great iced coffee alternative. And these are creative tips, right? Like, but they should also tie into how you're targeting your ads too. Like you cannot try to position your product differently if you're not targeting the right keywords and if you're not showing that new message on your videos.
Yeah, definitely. Just on like, kind of what would you say to someone in the audience who has never made a video, maybe doesn't have thousands of dollars to spend on an agency-produced video?
Yeah, I think that this is a classic example that just proves that it doesn't have to be expensive, right? I think the customer is skeptical about overpromises. They're looking for authenticity. And everybody has a camera. So like get a camera, put the product, show the product in action, mix still images and stock images when needed, but like test. I think that the more you test, the quicker you get to the result you want.
If you don't have a camera, you should get one.
Yes, exactly, yeah. At this point, for sure. like I said, small edits, like they will make big impacts. I think that change the order of the message, change the order of the frames, make variations of the products and adjust when needed, and then double down on what works. I think that keep testing, double down.
Nice. Yeah, so you've taken us through this framework of like kind of filling up from the bottom and then moving up by reaching those shoppers who are considering items like yours, and then going up further and further and growing with audiences who wouldn't be aware of you. And we then started alluding to metrics. So kind of what KPIs are you using to measure success at each of these stages?
Yeah, I think that as sellers, everybody loves a low A cost, right? But as you move up around the funnel, it's important to have and align other KPIs, especially think about clicks, click-through rate, traffic to your store, and impressions. And new to brand is king. You can always remember, you should remember that you can always retarget them later. Think about new to brand. Expose your brand directly, increases new to brand, that's a given. And with the holiday season approaching, like we said, think about all the gift seekers. Let's be in front of them.
Gift giver, gift giver.
Yeah, I'm a giver, exactly. So like I mentioned, experiment, new to brand is the goal. Take advantage of reach and new audiences to your brand.
And also, what about like budget? How much budget would you recommend dedicating to each of these stages?
Yeah, I think that this is a very interesting topic, right? But 80-20 is the rule to start. So 80% of your budget, bottom of funnel, making sales. 20% of your budget, starting to test, increase the reach. You can always, like I said, use sponsored display as remarketing. One example that we always have is a brand called Capizio. They sell dance apparel, and it's super niched. So if you just stay on dance apparel, you are, at the end of the day, limiting the reach. So what we did is that we started to switch and change to focus on more like athleisure, loungewear categories, which opens a little bit. It's not just dance. As a rule of thumb, like I always say, this changes, but 80-20 makes sense to start and then go from there. As you grow, then it changes drastically. And then you're talking about usually brands that will spend, let's say the range is like $100,000 to $1 million a month in ads. They're probably going to spend 60% on bottom of funnel, 40% on top of funnel. And if they're spending over 3 million a month usually, then it kind of inverts, and it's 35% of what they're spending is bottom of funnel. They got a diminishing return, so now they're thinking about driving more awareness instead of just trying to close sales, because there's not enough sales search volume. And I think that it always ends up being a little bit of chicken and egg dilemma, right? In which small brands, they usually think that they're not big enough to expand, to try to reach new audiences, and because of that, they end up never being able to grow. So I feel that invest something, start small, invest something, it pays off.
Mm-hmm. Just with these KPIs and moments of the customer journey in mind, how would you suggest our audience approach optimizing for an objective of increasing traffic?
Yeah, so I think that, again, when you're optimizing towards traffic, you're not just optimizing towards conversions, but also to increase traffic. You're casting a wider net. So first, rotate multiple creatives, make variations, and add highlights, showcase different colors. Second, send the traffic to an environment that you control. Sponsored brands, for example, you can send the traffic to your storefront. That's usually super efficient. And then as a third, optimize for mobile, right? Like a huge portion of sales are done through mobile, and you want to be super mobile friendly. You want to make sure that the message you're passing is very easily understood on mobile.
Yeah, I love those 3 tips, like rotating creatives, sending to your store, and optimizing for mobile.
Yeah, exactly.
Really sorry, I just had one more thing just to show you. So we have coming up the Amazon Ads Holiday Summit on September the 26th. It is a free 4-hour virtual event where we're going to help you learn sponsored ads, tips and tactics to help unlock your brand's potential this holiday season. So if you'd like to, feel free to download. I'm sorry, we have a lot of QR codes, but if you'd like to download this one as well, hopefully we'll see you there.